What's for dinner?
Shalom, sir. Dinner is served.
What's for dinner? Yeah. What's for
God
dinner?
has blessed me with you.
Yeah. Sister Jemima, I see you. I do. Israel calling. I can smell it.
All praises to the Most High.
Are you cooking? Oh my.
Yes, sir.
Sister Jemima, are you cooking?
Yes, sir.
The house of Jacob. Israel is calling. Keep it healthy and keep it lawful. There's a fire in your kitchen. What's for dinner? Dietary laws. I see you following. Keep it healthy and keep it lawful. We're the Israelites, God chosen. The house of Jacob, Israel called. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? See you doing your best, I must confess. God has blessed me with you.
God has blessed me with you.
I made up my mind to come home on time. Have my dinner too. Now what's for dinner? Sister Jemima. Now what's for dinner? I'm coming. What's for dinner? Sister Jemima. What's for dinner? I'm coming home.
Shalom, sir. Dinner is served.
What's for dinner? Yeah. What's for dinner? Yeah. Sister Jemima, I see you. I do. Israel calling. I can smell it.
All praises to the Most High.
Are you cooking? Oh my.
Yes, sir.
Sister Jemima, are you cooking?
Yes, sir.
The house of Jacob. Israel is calling. Keep it healthy and keep it lawful. There's a fire in your kitchen.
Shalom, sisters of Israel. Welcome to Fruitful Possession. My name is Sister Jemima from the house of Jacob. Today's cooking class will cover how to make a mega veggie stew, roasted cod, and stuffed bell peppers. So let's get started. Shalom, sisters of Israel. So this is another recipe I learned. It's going to be like a mega vegetable stew. So you can make this recipe. I'm cutting mushrooms up. So you want to cut up like 2 cups of mushrooms. Right? You want to wash the mushrooms off first and then cut them up, dice them up into slices like you see here. Make sure you have a bowl next to you. And there's no perfect way to cut up mushrooms. You can grind them up or you can dice them. It's nice to dice them. Mushrooms are a good meat replacement. It's really good. And it tastes nice, especially when they're sauteed. So this recipe, mega veggie stew, It's really good. It has a lot of different things in it. It has chickpeas in it. It has asparagus. I put some carrots in there, some sweet potatoes. You'll see as we go on. There's a lot of different vegetables in here. And you can make this recipe with coconut milk or without the coconut milk. You can just cook all these ingredients together like I'm doing and add a can of coconut milk to it, or if you don't want any milk in it, you can cook the same exact recipe without it, and it'll last the family for almost a week. If you don't want to cook, or you want to incorporate it as a side dish in another meal, or even for lunch, or just putting a stash away for when you're just too busy and you don't want to cook anything fresh. So I'm almost finished with cutting up the mushrooms. I got portobello mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms, and I'm mixing them together to have different flavors in it. And I like to make sure I have like a cutting board. You can pick any kind of cutting board, and you want to have a knife that will cut your vegetables up nicely for you. Okay, so I'm finished with cutting up the mushrooms, and that's what they look like. Now this is a zucchini, so I'm going to cut it off on the side, as you can see. You want to wash everything off. I'm going to keep the skin on it because the skin has very valuable nutritional benefits to it. So I'm going to cut it right down the middle, as you can see, and I'm going to hold the zucchini together because when I start dicing it, it's going to have a nice shape to it when you cut it. See? It's like a half of them slice, and I'm cutting it pretty quickly. So you can put one or two zucchinis in there. They have different colors: green, yellow, orange. All right, now one onion. I'm going to get one yellow onion, but you're going to see me cutting up one yellow onion, a half of one yellow onion, and a half of a red onion. They both have nutritional benefits to it. So I wasn't sure which one I wanted, so I said, you know what? I think the family will enjoy the yellow and the red onion, so I'll mix both. And I have a little chopper I can use, as you can see, and this is going to dice it up really nicely for me. Yep, you just keep dicing. Now I have asparagus, and I'm going to rinse that off. I have 3 bunches in here because I plan to make a really large stew so I don't have to cook for a while. You know, because many of you work, you have families, you have responsibilities. So if you're trying to reduce the amount of time you have to cook, this is a great way to make things like this. This is nice for the winter time. You're getting a lot of nutrients out of this. It helps protect your body against a lot of different things. Also, it gives us a lot of different vegetables we can eat to help benefit the body. So I'm just going to cut up this asparagus. I'm going to go on to the next one until I cut all of them in there. You're going to have a bowl close by. So I don't cut up the whole asparagus. I like to just go like almost like a little past midway, and that's pretty much it for me. But you decide where you like to, how far you would like the asparagus to go when you're actually dicing. So you see, you just take your time and cut off the asparagus. So this is my second bunch. And I'm going to cut 3 all together. This takes practice, dicing, but you just take your time. Once you get to the speed where you like, you'll get much better at it. But it's really about practice makes much better. All right, so I'm going to scoop that in there. These are good things to teach your daughters, how to cook early too. Let them always sit in the kitchen with you. Your sons will need to learn how to cook some things too, because one day they'll be on their own, at least for a short period of time, right? Before they get married, if they get married. And you don't want your sons eating a lot of fast food all the time. So it really is important for them to know how to make some basic things. Even though they can come home to, their mom or have their sisters make them something, they're not always going to be around them. They're going to need to know how to make some basic things for themselves and know how to avoid certain things. So now I'm just dicing up the red onion. Half of it. I'm going to put half a red onion and half a yellow onion in there. And I like this little chopper here. All these ingredients you see is going to go in the same recipe. So you see I'm mixing. So I want both flavors. My family loves both flavors. So I said, well, I'll mix them because they both have unique benefits to the body. All right, so now I'm going to take my green pepper and dice it. So some people cut from the top, or you can cut it from the side. There's no particular way that's best, It depends on what you like. I'm just cutting it off, and I'm going to put this green pepper in this recipe too. It's nice to have a lot of green, leafy things in your stew. And so this is a veggie stew, so there's no meat in this. But if you like this recipe and you're like, well, I like it, but I didn't like the milk in it, that's great too. That's this is delicious without the milk. If you like it with the milk, you can make it that way as well. And although we cooked fish earlier, that's a separate recipe, so you'll get to pick what you like when you want to make it. But it's nice to have a variety of different recipes to learn how to make different things. Like when you're little, you learn how to do chores, clean the kitchen, learn how to make a sandwich or make a salad or peel corn, peel the outer layers of the corn and get things ready. Learn how to make your bed and do your chores. So it's great if the kids know that and the truth too. And then incorporate that with like reading 4 chapters a day in the Bible. You'll hear that from a lot of righteous people. Have their children read 4 chapters a day. Okay, let's get back to the recipe. So we're going to have carrots, and we're going to have, this is called leeks. These are leeks. This is a type of onion. It's leeks. And I'm going to cut up the whole thing, but I'm not going to put all of it in the stew. I'm going to have some put away for another time because I have a large amount. But leeks are really good. It's a type of onion. So you make sure you wash off everything first. And I'm just cutting it all. I'm finding out that I have a lot. So I'm going to put some of this in the freezer for another time when I have other types of recipes and I just can add it to it. But by me cutting it up all now, it just saves me time later. And it may look like we're putting so many different things in It's one recipe, but it's a veggie stew, so it's going to really help you. So that's what it looks like. It's going to really help your body, your husband's body, your family, or even if you're not married, right? You're learning how to make all this stuff. So if you do get married, you are good. And then you can also share this with other sisters. And you can tweak it to whatever way you like it to make it healthy. And you will taste all the flavors in it. So even though we're not putting a lot of salt in this recipe, incorporating all these vegetables together with the coconut milk is very good. Or even if you didn't put the coconut milk in it, this ensemble is very good together. So I'm putting these in a bag because I know I'm going to put these in the freezer. I'm going to label them later and write scallions on it. Okay, so this is bok choy. So I picked bok choy to add to this, but you can add cabbage to it if you don't like bok choy or you don't have any bok choy. It's a form of a cabbage. And I'm going to cut that up because I want something leafy in here now. I don't have too many leafy things. So I'm going to put some bok choy in there. B-O-K, choy, C-H-O-Y. I'm just going to cut this. You may not have heard of this vegetable, so that's why I mentioned it to you, because you may be able to find it in the supermarket, or you can grow it yourself. And you find if you grow it yourself, the vegetables and most high blood sugar, they seem to grow much larger, which is great for the family. And when you grow them, you don't have to cook them right then and there. You can, prepare them like this and put them in the freezer for another time. So that's bok choy. I'm going to put all that in the pot too. So I got some Goya. You want to get 2 cans of Goya beans. Try to get organic with no sodium. And this is 1 tomato diced up. All right. And now this is 1 sweet potato. So every last thing you saw is going to go in the same recipe. So I know I didn't show you opening up the chickpeas, but 2 cans of chickpeas, organic. It's because it doesn't have a lot of salt in it. You can get it with no sodium in it, whatever you want. And 1 tomato diced up. And now this is 1 sweet potato. I'm taking the skin off because I'm going to put that in this same recipe too. So you're just learning, there's so many important things out there that the Most High made. All praises to Him for making these things so we can put them in our meals and help our families. So this is 1 sweet potato. I like to put sweet potatoes in everything. So I'm going to dice it up now. See, I'm going to cut this up just like that zucchini you saw earlier. Cut it down the middle and then hold it together and see how it comes out. Looks kind of, good when your family's eating it. So I'm just cutting, and I'm taking my time. You don't want to cut yourself because if you see how the knife is really close to my fingers, you want to be slow. Over time, you may accidentally do it because you're cooking, but don't rush when you're at this stage. You take your time. That looks great. All right, here's a butternut squash. Now, you can buy this already diced up in the supermarket. You don't have to do it this way because it's harder this way. You can buy the butternut squash diced up, but I'm going to show you how I peeled it. So here I'm peeling the butternut squash. Can you see that? I'm taking the outer skin off of it. The outer skin is very thick, and now I took all the skin off in this area, and then I cut it up like that. See? So it's going to be hard. You're going to see some seeds in the middle of the butternut squash. You take them out, throw it away, and just cut it up like that. All right. This is ginger. So I washed out the ginger. All right. A bunch of ginger like that. That's how much you pretty much need because this is a big pot. Now rinse it off. And I don't have to take the skin off. You will not taste the skin at all. It will not mess up anything. Then I'm going to chop it up in the chopper. Okay. You don't have to take the skin off. It will not alter the flavor. It won't get all in your food and mess up your recipe. It will be great. And there's benefits to the skin too. Certain things you can do that with. ginger's with it. So I'm mashing that up, all right? In the chopper. Mashing that up. That looks great. All right, now in the pot, get a big pot and pour some grapeseed oil in there, right? You may have to add a little more because I have to burn 2 tablespoons of curry powder first. You have to cook the curry powder. I had to learn first. So now I'm pouring that in there, right? You see the pot is hot. I'm gonna stir it. It's gonna turn dark brown, almost like a black color. See? I heard it's better on the system if you cook it first. It's okay if you don't do it, but it's better if you can do it this way. It's best if you do it this way. So I know I got to add more oil to the pan eventually. So now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I got it in a squeezable bottle, so I didn't have to chop it up. So 2 tablespoons of minced garlic is going in there with the 2 tablespoons of curry. I'm going to need to add some more oil to the pan, so I'm using my sprayer to lubricate the bottom of the pan. You can't go wrong with this because this is a very healthy oil. Grapeseed oil or olive oil, if you can get it organic. And then put your onions in there next. You see, I'm stirring this up. And it's a nice aroma in the house. Your husband's going to smell it. Oh, boy. When you're entertaining your family, they don't want to eat out because they're like, I feel better eating from home. Your daughters will learn how to cook. Your sons, they need to learn how to cook some things too, because you don't want your sons to go and get sick eating a lot of fast food. That's the green pepper. See, I'm stirring it up. I know I got to keep using the organic olive oil spray to lubricate the bottom of the pan at this point. Those are the leaks that we cut up earlier. That's a part of it. All right. So you just want to monitor the bottom of the pan. If it's sticking, spray. See how I'm spraying? You want to monitor the pot and just keep spraying at this stage because you don't have too much in the pot that has a lot of water in it, so it's going to stick. And I have it on medium heat. The pan is on medium heat, and I make sure I stay close to it. All right, so I'm going to close that for a minute on medium heat. And now I'm going to look at it. It's making great progress. All right. That looks great. Now I'm putting the ginger that we chopped up earlier. I'm going to mix that in there now. All these ingredients combined really help your body. And so if you like the way this looks, right, and you don't have any coconut milk in the house at the time you see this recipe, try to get organic coconut milk if you can. Organic is best a lot of times. But if you don't, cook it like this without the milk. And now I'm putting the portobello mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms in it too. And I'm stirring it together. That looks great. I found this recipe online and I just added my own little ingredients to it. Now I'm adding the carrots. They're just diced carrots you can buy like this in the store, and I'm going to mix it together. That looks great. That's the asparagus. So I'm going to stir that. And that looks good. It's turning out great. That looks wonderful. All right, now I'm going to add the zucchini. This is the zucchini we had cut up earlier. And that's a sweet potato that we diced. So see how pretty the pot looks? You're just learning about different types of vegetables that the Most High made, including the bok choy. So that's the green leafy one. And it may look like, oh, this is just too much to make. But this is a mega veggie stew. And you want to cook it. And it takes practice. If you make it the first time and you say, it's good, but I didn't put enough coconut milk in it, or it's good, but I wonder what it tastes like without any milk in it. You can make this same recipe. Again, you just want to monitor it while you're on the stove. And you can spray it with olive oil off and on. And if you find that your pan is sticking, right? You find out the pan is sticking, you spray it with some more olive oil or grapeseed oil. That looks wonderful. Okay, and finally, the chickpeas. The 2 cans of chickpeas. I think the cans were about 15 ounces. 2 15-ounce cans. You don't have to get the canned ones, but, that's 1 tomato chopped up. And you just mix them all together. And believe it or not, once you add the coconut milk and this stuff cooks for about 45 minutes on medium heat. You just want to monitor and come back every 15 minutes or so and stir it to see how it's doing. It smells good in your house. All right, so that's the 1 can of coconut milk. And I'm going to pour it on there. I'm not putting any water in here. Just coconut milk. And when you serve this, after it's done, put some broth in there from the bottom of the pan. It's really good. This one. I saw this recipe online. I said, I like this recipe. I think I'll add a few things to it and mention if there is no coconut milk in there. That's the butternut squash that we put in there, that we cut up earlier. I really like this recipe because of the ingredients. And I said I wanted to incorporate some things I would have added in there, or I would have done a little different. So I decided to add a few things to it and change some of the things around. This pot really does hold a lot. And making things like this, you don't have to cook for a while. You just put it in a big tray and serve it. And then you can take half of it and put it away for another time. Maybe like 2 weeks from now or next week, the following week. You serve it, and then you can add something to it. Like some roasted fish. And so they have this really nice vegetable stew. Or if you made it like a cooked vegetable stir fry, it would be really nice too. When your recipe is getting lower, when this, as you have this. Okay, so this is the last one. This is 1/4 teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt. So I'm going to pour it up there. It looks like I'm putting a lot up there, but 1/4 tablespoon of Himalayan salt is not a lot. It's just I'm making sure I sprinkle it around. So what I was saying was when it's done, when your recipe is done, oh, that looks great. That is definitely done. See, everything's cooked together. You can, with this recipe, you can do different things with it. You can add quinoa to it. So I did here is I washed my hands and washed off 4 Captain Cut cod fillets. And I'm going to place it on a cutting board and cut it into smaller pieces because I plan to put it inside the French maid roaster, which is very helpful. So I'm going to clean off my hands, my utensils, and I'm going to cut these cod fillets smaller, as you can see. And I'm going to lay them on the cutting board kind of nicely. And what I plan to do is once I cut all the cod fillets, I'm going to place it in a bowl with a little mayonnaise and some salt-free veggie seasoning. This is if you don't have a lot of time. You know a lot about how to use seasonings, but you will have something really basic you want to do really quickly. And you need to hurry up and get it done for the family. So we're only going to use 2 ingredients on the cod fillet. So as I rinse out my bowl, I want to have it close by the cutting board where the cod fillet is. And cod fillet has like a buttery flavor to it, naturally. So whatever you put with cod fillet as you roast it, it's really nice. And so I'm going to take maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. You can get organic mayonnaise made with olive oil or whatever you like, any kind of organic mayonnaise if possible, or just plain mayonnaise. And then I'm going to sprinkle a generous amount of no salt vegetable seasoning on it. And I have a brush I like to use if I don't want to put my hands inside the bowl. That way I can mix the ingredients really quickly and evenly. And any excess mayonnaise or seasoning that you don't use, you can just discard of it. So as I'm mixing it, I realize I need to add a little bit more vegetable seasoning after I coat all the cod fillets. So what I'm going to do is mix those together and put some more salt-free seasoning. Mix them together. And then I'm going to put it in the French maid. Okay. So now I'm going to pull the tray out of the French maid. I'm going to place the cod fillets in there side by side. So you can easily do this in an oven too. But this is really nice because I can heat things up in this kitchen appliance, and it doesn't take up a lot of space on the counter. And it cooks in about 20 to 25 minutes, or even sooner. And once I take this out, even though it's well done, it'll be juicy fish, but crusty on the top. Okay, so I'm going to slide this in the French maid. I'm going to turn it on 350 for about 25 minutes, and then I can go on to other things. And once the 25 minutes is passed, I'm going to check on it, and it's going to look great. It'll be done. And this is what it looks like when it's done. Isn't that wonderful? Beautiful. It's crusty on the top, but it's moist and buttery flavor on the bottom with that little bit of mayonnaise and that vegetable salt-free seasoning. So for the green stuffed Mexican green peppers, actually we're going to use several different color bell peppers to make this recipe. So I'm going to combine all these ingredients together and cook it in a pan. And then I'm going to stuff some bell peppers and then bake it in the oven for about 30 minutes. All right, so these are the ingredients. 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. So what you can do for the minced garlic is you can buy it already prepared for you in the supermarket. They have it where it's already minced for you. All you have to do is squeeze it out of a bottle. So I have 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, or you can make your own. Next, I have some onions. So you want to cut up your onions. You can have red onions or yellow onions. I mix them together to make this. So it's half of a red onion and half of a yellow onion. So let's talk about the ingredients for the stuffed bell peppers. I have 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. You can mince the garlic yourself, or you can buy a squeeze bottle in the store and squeeze out 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I also have I cut up half of a red onion and half of a yellow onion, and I combined it. So that's what that is. I have salsa because I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of salsa. So I got organic. And actually do it over again. So the ingredients for the stuffed bell peppers is I have 4 tablespoons of organic salsa. I have 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I use it from a squeeze bottle you can buy from the store. It's already prepared. Or you can use your own garlic and mince 2 tablespoons of garlic. And so now I cut up half of a red onion and half of a yellow onion because I'm going to mix it. I like the flavoring of both. I have Okay, so for these stuffed bell peppers, you're going to need 4 tablespoons of organic salsa, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. If you don't like to mince the garlic yourselves, you can buy minced garlic at the supermarket and use it out of a squeeze bottle. So you got to have 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I cut up half of a red onion and half of a yellow onion, so you're going to need that. I have 1 cup of cooked quinoa. It doesn't matter what kind of quinoa you get, if it's whole grain or multicolored ones. It doesn't matter. If it's whole grain, it doesn't matter, as long as it's cooked. Then you're going to want 1 tablespoon. You're going to want 2 teaspoons of chili powder. So 2 teaspoons of chili powder. You're going to need about 1 cup of corn, 1 cup of kidney beans. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. This one has no salt in it. So I'm not going to put any salt in this recipe, but the salsa has salt in it, and it really makes a big difference in the recipe. So as you see me cook it, you may see me add a little more salsa to it. It has a nice flavor added to the ingredients, and that's where the salt is coming from. And when I put all these ingredients in the pan, you're also going to need either some grapeseed oil or some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, or the light olive oil, whichever you prefer. So now I'm going to preheat the stove, the pot on the stove. I preheated it. It's on medium heat, so the pan is nice and warm now. And I'm going to put some olive oil, or you can put grapeseed oil in your pan. So I'm going to put a generous amount. So I'll put about that much in there. You just be a good judge on that. It's not a lot. It could be about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, but you be the judge on that. And then I'm going to hold the handles and swish it around. So a good pan to cook it in is a cast iron pan or a pan like this. But whatever your favorite pan is that cooks your food the best, that's great. And you're going to want to have pot holders. I don't have any pot holders on my pot holder mittens on my hand, but you're going to want to do that because this is actually kind of hot. And the first thing I'm going to put in the pan is the garlic, because the garlic will actually help enhance all the flavors of the other things you put in the pan. I'll be right back. I'm going to cover the pan because the grease will splash up. I'm just getting something to take the garlic out. So take this back off. Scoop out all that garlic in there. You see? The garlic's only going to cook for a little while. And then I'm going to put the onions in right after that. Okay? Let's cover that a little bit. So that happens. Okay? So the garlic had a chance to cook for just a minute. And now I'm going to put the onions in there to mix in with the garlic. And I'm paying really close attention to the pan to see if anything's sticking. If it starts to stick a whole lot, that means I need to probably turn it. So slow down a little or add a little bit more rapeseed oil or olive oil. So it's looking pretty good now. That looks great. So now I'm going to add some corn to it now. And you can add pretty much any ingredients to stuffed bell pepper. You can add mushrooms in here. You can add asparagus, whatever you want to do. But this is just one type of recipe. They have a lot of wonderful recipes that you can learn about and you can try with your own little flair to it. But I'm going to just add, about 1 cup of corn or 3/4 cup of corn. Now I'm going to add some kidney beans to it. You can add black beans. You'll see in a lot of recipes that they may add black beans instead of kidney beans. But for this recipe, I'm going to add red kidney beans. And it's really good because these type of beans, they have a good amount of iron in it. A lot of nutrients in it. And you can smell the flavor in the house. And if you're cooking long enough, it'll actually even smell outside your door if you're a good cook. So now I'm going to add some quinoa to the bunch. This is about 1 cup of quinoa. So some people like to add rice instead of wild rice. It's really up to you what you'd like. For my family, we digest quinoa way better. And it tastes great. It has a lot of nutrients in it, so we chose that. So I'm going to put in the chili powder, 2 teaspoons of chili powder. I'm going to mix that. And in this recipe, you won't see me adding any shredded cheese to the bell peppers once I fill each bell pepper with this stuffing. But if you want to add a little flair to it with that, and you can digest cheese, or you want to use lactose-free cheese, you can top it with that before putting it in the oven. So now I'm going to add the 1 tablespoon of cumin. All right. And here is the 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to add the 4 tablespoons of salsa, and I'm going to monitor to see if this made it moist enough. And now I have it on, I still have the heat on medium, almost medium heat, because I don't want it to overcook, because it is going to bake in the oven for about 30 minutes, so I don't want to cook it too hard. So it smells really nice. It smells really nice. I won't pour any more olive oil in it, but I'll spray it a little bit. A couple of dabs. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons of salsa. So I'll be right back. So I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons of salsa. See that? I'm just going to mix it. And I'm going to cover it for about 3 minutes, and then that will be done for the next step. I'm going to turn it on low heat. right, so I have my mitten on, and now I'm going to take the lid off the pot. I just turned it off, and now I'm just seeing if it's done. That looks good. There's a nice flavor to it, too. You can smell the garlic, the salsa, and the seasoning, the chili powder, everything. So let's talk about now stuffing the bell peppers. So I'm going to use 4 peppers, and I'm going to cut the tops off. But first, I'm going to rinse them off. Make sure they're clean along with my hands. All right. And then I'm going to cut the pepper this way instead of that way, because I'm going to stuff it in the inside, so I like it to be a circle. So as you can see, I'm going to cut it. You see that? And I'm going to take this out. And this is what's going to be left, and that's what we're going to fill. So let's go do all of them. So that's the orange one. Let's do the red one the same way. I'm going to cut it this way. Now, you don't have to throw this away. You can take this out and use this for another cooking recipe. But I'm just going to clean out the seeds. You can keep the seeds if you ever want to grow them in your yard or on your porch or on your balcony. But I'm going to get rid of this so that I can stuff this. So I'm going to lay that aside. I'm going to rinse this out so the seeds won't be all in there. And I'm trying to stuff it. But the seeds are good if you want to grow more peppers during the summertime. That's another one. Let's get the green one. Let me rinse this one off. I'm going to use this one instead. I'm going to cut this off. Put that away. Take out the core for the seeds. And if there's any loose seeds, I want to wash it out. So I'm going to stuff it very quick. This one. And I'm going to keep those pepper tops, you see? Bell pepper tops for something else. I'm just going to slice off the sides and put it in a bag, put it in the freezer, and use it for another time. All right. So now you see I have 4 bell peppers, and we're going to go to the next step. So there's a couple of different ways you can decide to stuff these bell peppers in order to cook the shells. Usually what you do is you'll see a recipe where after you prepare the stuffing that you're going to put inside the bell peppers, they place it inside the bell pepper before you cook the actual bell peppers. But what I'm going to try today is I'm going to spray some olive oil spray on the uncooked bell peppers, right? And then I'm going to place it inside the French maid just for about 5 minutes and take it out, let it cool, and then put the stuffing in it and then put it in the oven. Because I want to see if I can get the bell peppers to cook just a little bit with a light toast to it. So what I'm going to do is take out my French made tray that I use, and I'm going to place these, bring this over here for you. I'm going to place these bell peppers face up like this inside the French maid. I don't know if you can see that. All right. And I'll spray a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to place it in the French maid for about 5 minutes to get it a little crisp first. So I'm going to take it over here, push it in. It's going to be on 360, but I'm going to do it just for 5 minutes so it can cook on the outside. So I'm not, I'm not getting paid for advertisement to use the French maid. It's just something I'm using in my home. You can pick anything you want. You can put it in the oven this way. You can also take these uncooked bell pepper shells and put some hot water in a pot. Place them in there for 3 minutes or so. I saw that on a recipe. And get them soft, and then put the ingredients in it, and then bake it in the oven on 350 for about 25 minutes, and top it with some cheese on it before putting it in the oven. Or after you cook it in the oven, you can take it out, put some sour cream on top, or a little sprinkle of goat cheese on there, something like that. But I'm just going to cook the shell first, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. All right. So these are 2 avocados. They are ripe. You can tell they're ripe most of the time when the outer skin is dark green. Almost looks black. Right? Looks like it's actually dark black or dark purple. So this is the way I cut them up. If they're nice and ripe, I will put it on a cutting sheet with a little knife, and I will cut it while the skin is still on it, like this. So let me put that one on the side, and I still have a knife in there, and I'm cutting it. And now I'm going to pull it apart because it's pretty ripe. See? And if you can see that, it's pretty ripe. Then I'm going to take this seed out of it. And this happens for me when it's pretty ripe. It's easy to take the seed out. Now I'm going to face it on the part that I cut. I'm going to face that down and have the skin up. And I'm going to start slicing now with the skin on it. That's how I do it. So I'll cut it once, slice it twice. Again, I have 4 slices there. I'm going to cut it again. 1, hold my hand there, take your time. 2, 3. So now I turn it over, and so I have to remove the skin. So when it's ripe, all I'm doing is, let me show you. If you can see that, I peel off the skin like that. There's so many different ways you do it, but this is my method. I peel it off like that. There's one slice. Here's another piece I'm pulling off. See, and this avocado still intact. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. And avocados are good for you too. You can put them in so many different recipes. You can add it to a smoothie. You name it. It's good to have your daughters watch you as you cook. And if they happen to be in school at the time and you're cooking, you may even try to record yourself. Right? You know, sometimes, because, you know, they watch TV, but how about they watch a cooking class of you cooking in their kitchen? You know, you're teaching them chores. You know that scripture, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I believe it goes something like that. It's in the book of Proverbs. So you want to train them on good things. You know, it's really good. Like when I was little, I had to babysit, you know, at 10 years old, I had to learn those things. Babysitting, cleaning the house. Those are things I had to learn. And by me doing that, other neighbors wanted me to watch their children. And then after a while, when you do your child does a good job and you're training them, they learn how to make money too, you know, lawfully. Little, it's okay. I do my chores around the house. I do my homework. I read my 4 chapters a day. I'm learning how to cook, right? And now my mom and dad's, or my mom, friend wants me to babysit, and they bring them over and you babysit the child, and you're doing a good job, they'll pay you for babysitting, and they'll learn about work very early. Very early, they'll learn responsibility. So you want to think about things like that, you know. Okay. So I'm just peeling these off. You want to learn about that. They'll learn about responsibility. And they won't be slothful. They're reading the scriptures. they're watching you cook good class too, that's nice too. Not to watch a lot of bad television, but watching you do things, and then they pick up things from you. Because some mothers have to work outside the house, and they have to be really tactical in how they teach their kids when they're not there, at times. Okay, so as you can see, these are the shells, see? And now this is cooked. I'm just going back to see if any of the skin is still stuck on it. That's a little bit of skin, so I'm taking that off. It looks great. And, if avocado sits in the refrigerator overnight like this, you want to squirt some lemon juice on it or some apple cider vinegar, sprinkle it over it because it'll turn brown. It'll start, deteriorating. So lime juice, lemon juice, or apple cider vinegar, some sort of vinegar will be great to keep it looking just like this. So let's go on to the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to take these out of the French maid. So I just cooked a little bit. So I didn't want it to overcook because I'm going to put it in the oven. And I preheated the oven for 350. And my plan is to bake it in the oven for 30 minutes. So let me go put these on the cutting board for a minute. The green. All right. I'll be right back. So I'm just looking for a tray to put the peppers in. So when they go in the oven, they'll cook nicely. All right, I got something. I'm just going to rinse it out real quick. And then I'm going to lightly spray it, so I'll be right back. Okay, so let me put these in here now. So it'll be better. Let me spray it. I don't want it to stick. So I'm going to put these inside here first, inside the tray. So when I put it in the oven and I stuff them, I can just put it in there. So this is the stuffing that we made earlier. And you can make it out of anything you want. And this is not the last thing I'm putting in there. After these come out of the oven, I'm going to put some sour cream on top of it. That's what my family likes. Or what you can do is you can put shredded cheese on it, shredded Swiss, lactose-free cheese. You can put goat cheese crumbles on there, whatever your family likes, you put on there. Whatever you like too. So I'm going to stuff this as much as I can. And when this is done, I'm not going to serve it just like this. I'm going to have some lettuce, a whole bunch of romaine lettuce chopped up on the side of the plate. I'll have a few slices of avocado on the side of it. You can even have a few chips on the side. You can have some organic taco chips. If you don't want that, there's some chickpea chips that are really good for you. It has protein in it. It's great. And I'm telling you, this is great. And you want to show your daughters. You want to show your sons some too. It's not a bad thing to show your sons a few healthy meals that he can cook and make big plates of it, because he's going to one day be on his own and he may not be married. And sometimes when he's married, his wife may have a baby right away and somebody can't come over to make them meals all the time, right? So he might need to do something, or somebody might get sick and just need help. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's nice for him to know that, because he may be on his own one day, and you want to show that. Because when I was little, I had to learn chores. I had to clean the kitchen. I had to learn how to make a meal. This was at 10 years old. I had to learn how to babysit, fold clothes. This is before cell phones, and I was in the hood, in the city, with my Judite aunt, and I'm a Benjamite, but I have Judite family, And that's where I learned it from. And so whatever I learned, I pass on to Israel. All praise the Most High. So you do the same thing. You take the good and you bring in the truth and you apply it. And then, as I learned things, neighbors wanted me to watch their children. And when I was a child, and then I learned how a babysitting business was working, things like that. So if you learn things like that in righteousness, that's great. That's great. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So I'm going to put this in the oven on 350 for half an hour, but I'm going to monitor it. And I will show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I just took the stuffed bell peppers out of the oven. So they're ready. And now I'm going to take some goat cheese and kind of crumple on it. You can put sour cream on top. You can, before you put them in the oven, you can sprinkle some shredded cheese on it if you want. But if you have a lactose problem, you can get lactose sour cream, or you can have it without it. Whatever you want to do. And you can enjoy it that way. You can even eat it without anything on top of it besides what's stuffed in there. So I'm just placing some goat cheese up there because that's what they would like. And you can pour more salsa on top of this if you like it. If you want some more sauce on it, it's delicious. It's healthy. You can make your own version of a stuffing that you want to put inside of the bell peppers. And then you can serve this with some romaine lettuce, a few chickpea chips or taco chips, and a few slices of avocado. So I hope you enjoyed these cooking classes. Today, I like to say all praises to the Most High, and Christ blessed. Shalom.
What's for dinner?
Shalom, sir. Dinner is served.
What's for dinner? Yeah. What's for
God
dinner?
has blessed me with you.
Yeah. Sister Jemima, I see you. I do. Israel calling. I can smell it.
All praises to the Most High.
Are you cooking? Oh my.
Yes, sir.
Sister Jemima, are you cooking?
Yes, sir.
The house of Jacob. Israel is calling. Keep it healthy and keep it lawful. There's a fire in your kitchen. What's for dinner? Dietary laws. I see you follow. Keep it healthy and keep it lawful. We're the Israelites, God chosen. The house of Jacob, Israel called. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? See you doing your best, I must confess. God has blessed me with you.
God has blessed me with you.
I made up my mind to come home on time. Have my dinner too. Now what's for dinner? Sister Jemima. Now what's for dinner? I'm coming. What's for dinner? Sister Jemima. What's for dinner? I'm coming home.
Shalom, sir. Dinner is served.
What's for dinner? Yeah. What's for dinner? Yeah. Sister Jemima, I see you. I do. Israel calling. I can smell it.
All praises to the Most High.
Are you cooking? Oh my.
Yes, sir.
Sister Jemima, are you cooking?
Yes, sir.
The house of Jacob. Israel is calling. Keep it healthy and keep it lawful. There's a fire in your kitchen.